Howdy gang, and welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. And I'm sitting here with what has got to be one of the coolest guitars you can get for less than $300. This is a beautiful, I would argue, very patriotic guitar from an American perspective, of course made by Firefly. And just look at the paint job on this thing, and also the color of the neck, the hardware. Everything about this guitar just looks flashy, and I would argue very, very nice. Now, where did this color scheme and design, look at this actually real quick. You can see, I can actually see myself in the golden mirror of the pickguard. Anyway, if you guys have been watching the channel for any length of time, you probably know that I'm more of an 80s shred guy, right? But this guitar here is, of course, based on the Buck Owens Telecaster. I'm not a country player. I really don't know country western music very well. The old joke is that there's two kinds of music, country and western. But what I can say with some authority is that this is a really, really nice guitar. Not just nice looking, but also great specs and really nice playing guitar, and it's priced at $269, $279, under $300. Of course, you get these on the Guitars Garden website. I'll have a link down in the video description below, but that's the official website for all of the Firefly guitars. And this guitar is, you know, the Buck Owens Telecaster, but it's a Fender, right? It's a Fender Telecaster originally, and this is the Firefly version of that. And I have to say, Firefly has done a lot of guitars that are inspired by, you know, expensive signature model guitars and so forth. And this one has really got to be, I think, the closest to the actual guitar that I've seen. The sparkle of the finish, obviously the way the hardware is laid out, and of course the paint job, you know, the neck joint, everything. The only thing that's really different is the shape of the headstock is a little bit different, you know, just different enough to avoid getting sued. And then, of course, this one says Firefly instead of Fender. But as is usual for these guitars, the bang for your buck that you're getting out of these is really just incredible, because if we look at some of the specs here, these are the rounded ball end stainless steel frets. The neck here, they don't advertise it this way. They advertise this as a flame maple neck, which is true, you can see that, but I believe it's also roasted maple, so a roasted flame maple neck, the rounded ball and frets, which I already mentioned. It's got the brass saddles. Now these are like the twin saddles where you adjust one and it affects the intonation of two strings. Personally, I don't really like that. It's a very old design, but this is a traditional guitar in a lot of different ways, so of course they're using the classic saddle bridge setup there. The other thing I want to point out is this pickguard. This is metal. This is, you know, this is plated metal. It's not plastic or anything like that. Same goes for all of the controls. And as you would expect with all of that extra metal hardware on here, this guitar is fairly hefty. Also, this is a full thickness body and no belly cut or anything like that. No chambering, so there's no weight savings at all on this guitar. I weighed this exact one, and it was just over 8 pounds. It was like 8.1, 8.2 pounds, which for a Telecaster guitar is fairly chunky, and it certainly feels that way. Now, with the traditional pickup arrangement that this guitar has, obviously this is not a super high output like hot pickup set or anything like that, and you've got the three-way switch, always very satisfying sounding switch on these tele style guitars. Yeah, very confident sounding switch. And then your single volume and single tone. This is, you know, going to give you sounds that you would expect to hear from a Telecaster or a traditional Telecaster style guitar. So obviously your country, your blues, anything where you want a nice twang sound to it, and low output but expressive tones. That's what you're going to get, I think, from this guitar. So probably not a great heavy metal guitar, although John 5 might argue with that. But yeah, anything where, again, you want a very nuanced tone where you want a lot of expression in your tone, and the way you pick and so forth, it's going to really come out through these pickups because they are very expressive. They're just, again, they're not hot, they're not high output, and I find you have to dig in a little bit more. You have to push a little harder to get the notes out compared to, you know, a hot set of humbuckers or something on like a modern metal guitar. Obviously, Buck Owens fans are going to like this guitar, and then I think anytime you want to play something that's a little bit patriotic or very American, if you want to pull out your Night Ranger, you can still rock an America cover. This is a great guitar for that. Now, of course, I'm doing this review in November 2025, but I think I'll hold on to this guitar and bring it out again next July when we get to Independence Day, or actually, now that I think about it, Veterans Day is coming up very soon. So there's a nice patriotic holiday, right? Perfect guitar for that. Anyway, good looks are nice, but how does it sound? Well, let's plug it in and find out. Now, again, guys, I'm not a country player. You know, I did a little faking in that intro there, but I'm just going to go through some standard nice sounds that you can get out of this guitar so you know what it sounds like. And I'm using the Boss IR200 amp and cabinet simulator for the demo. That's about a $400-ish piece of equipment, so you know I'm not using any super expensive studio gear to make the guitar sound better than it is, anything like that. Okay guys, real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool new affordable guitars and also staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you've not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Alright, let's plug this in and listen to how it sounds. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit more about this. There's a couple specs, or features I should say, that I forgot to mention beforehand. One of them is the fretboard radius. It has a compound radius fretboard, which is a nice touch. And on some of these more expensive Firefly guitars, they do have that. So you're going from a 9-inch radius down here, very round, to a 14, very flat up here when you want to play your lead solos and so forth. So it's a little easier to do bends and stuff higher up, less likely to get notes choked out if you're bending, doing a really big bend or something with the flatter fretboard radius. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, it's a roasted flame maple neck. It's kind of a C-shaped profile with a satin finish, so it's fairly round feeling, but the satin finish with the rounded ball and stainless steel frets, again, just makes it a very comfortable, very easy guitar to play. It's a guitar that feels like you're just hanging out with an old friend. And yeah, that pickguard, I mean, look at that. If you're getting ready for a show and you're about to go out on stage and you want to take one last look in the mirror, make sure your hair's good and everything, just look in your pickguard. It's actually a very, very good mirror. But enough of that. Anyway, one last thing I want to mention about this guitar, the Firefly guitars in particular, and the tele body models, is if you go on over to the website and you look at what they have on there, they have a really nice variety. They have models with the classic pickup arrangement like this one. Then they have models with like humbuckers and the six individual saddles, so you can adjust the intonation differently for each string and so forth. They even have one model with like a Bigsby style trim on it. A lot of variation, a lot of different options on there, and they're all under $300. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge Firefly guitarist fan, and I know a lot of people watching out there are as well. So guys, what is your favorite, this is a question for the Firefly owners out there. What is your favorite Firefly tele style model that you've gotten? Let me know down in the comments section below. Okay guys, that is it for this video. Thanks a ton. I'm going to have links for everything I was talking about in the video down in the video description below. The guitar, the Boss IR200, my social media, my YouTube online course, everything. Look in the video description. Thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.